There we go.
All right, so here's that picture. Very similar to the way I drew it before. Okay.
Okay.
So here's the tube coming out. Here's that little plate, like we talked about, that sits on your skin to keep the tube from flopping back and
Or
forth.
washer.
Uh-huh. So there's skin, that's this line. This next little layer is a little bit of fat that you have, and this next little layer is your abdominal wall muscle. Okay. Here's your stomach being pulled up. There's the tube coming all the way through with the balloon. Okay. I haven't drawn those T-bars on there, but you know where they are. They're right here on either side. So the only real potential complication of this and is that because we look through with the camera and we see your stomach, okay, your stomach is going to be relatively decompressed, okay? So when we stick the little needle through that has a little T-bar on the end, we reach inside and it's all by feel. We feel ourselves poking it through just the one wall of the stomach, but if the stomach is kind of like a sandwich, the potential is that it'll go all the way through to the back. So it'll go through both walls.
Both walls instead of just one.
Instead of one. Usually you can feel it and you can tell that's what you've done, okay? But once we have we put 4 T-bars in, once we start dilating the tract, we put a plastic tube through and put the camera in to make sure that we didn't do anything to that back wall, okay? If that looks fine, then we pull that back out and stick the tube in to verify that that didn't happen. If that happens, we can usually just cut the T-bar and it'll just stay inside of you but not harm you. If during this process we accidentally make a little hole in the back wall of the muscle, or in the back wall of the stomach, I'm sorry, then we have to make a little cut and go in and fix it. Happens about 1% of the time. And it's a little more common when people have obstructions up here and they don't have a tube in already that gets down to their stomach, because typically a lot of times we do this procedure also in sick ICU patients who are already intubated. They're going to get a trach and a feeding tube, but they already have a tube in their nose that goes straight to their stomach. So what we do is we have the anesthesiologist put a bunch of air in to inflate the stomach so that we can only poke that the front wall. But because it's not very safe to push tubes through your nose and try to get them into your stomach without irritating
The throat.
your throat, we do it all by feel, okay? And so that's the only risk, but it's rare, but it does happen. So you just have to know it's possible that during this process we end up, instead of just the one hole in your belly button and the one hole where the feeding tube is, you might wake up with a little cut here because we had to go in and fix something, okay?
But once you fix that, then I'm
you're fine.
good. And there's no risk after all any of that stuff you've done to me.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess if you could pull a bullet out of someone's chest and they still live, I guess that little cut's not going to hurt me.
Not particularly, no. It just means your recovery is just a little bit slower. And the way when I put these in, we don't use it that first day or that first evening, after surgery. The next day we test it out with a little bit of contrast to make sure there's no leaking or anything. To make sure that all these things have sealed up in that first day. And then if there's no leak, then we just start the food.
Okay.
And you're ready to go.
And now, where am I going to get the food? Is that going to be a prescription? Do I have to buy it?
No, you don't have to buy it. Typically what it is, when patients are getting a new feeding tube and a new trach, before you go home, we have the home nurses, or we have the home health care nurses here help us set up for you to get this stuff at home. And almost everybody who's on tube feeds at home, they deliver it to you a month at a time.
Okay.
So they'll drop off a pallet.
Oh my God.
With hundreds of cans of food.
Wow. Awesome. And that stuff's not the stuff you can drink. It's the only ones for the.
No, you can drink it.
It's the same. It's the same Ensures that I drink that I buy over the counter.
Slightly different.
Less sugar and stuff, because.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little slightly
there are
different.
different formulations of it. So there's some that are meant for diabetics. There's some that are meant for patients with kidney failure. There's some with liver failure. Like there's different formulations. We give everybody the most common one to start with. Sometimes people's digestive tracts don't like it and they have lots of diarrhea, so we have to switch to various different types.
What? I've been drinking Ensure for like the last year and a half.
So you're probably okay.
I drink the blue can.
And then the other difference is sometimes there are about 3 different really big companies that provide
Abbott.
food, and it will all depend on what your insurance company has a contract with.
Well, I actually put an application in here to Trisha over there to get me. I filled out the application to get free Ensure.
Okay.
So they'll be sending me. She said you have a better chance of getting the Ensure for the peg tube than you do the drinking ones.
Yes, correct.
So I think I'd much rather have the free Ensure because that's what I'm used to drinking.
Sure.
And and I can tolerate that. It doesn't hurt
Good.
my bowels, or
Good.
I have good bowel movements.
There's
So.
just some people, their bodies aren't used to stuff like that. They're used to eating regular food, and so then they go to drink it. It gives them a little diarrhea at the beginning.
Oh no, I've been living off that for like a year, man. I love that stuff.
Okay, all right.
If
There
I
you
could
go.
drink
You can keep
that
this.
for everything, then
Sure.
it's me. It's here, Benji's. Oh, focus. There we go. All right, Dr. Masur.
Maser.
Masur.
Yeah.
Okay. Masur, not French.
Nope.
Okay, signing off.